Welcome back to the GSTL, ladies and gentlemen. And so far, things are looking a little bit rough for StarTale, but Life was able to win his very important ZVZ, and now we're going into a completely different matchup entirely. But things looked bleak originally, but StarTale still has a chance here.
Oh, and Pimpact is back. There's the jacket. Awesome. Yeah, but you're definitely right. We have now Panic up against Ryung, and Panic's matchup so far, if you look at his games in general, the matchup against Terran is probably his strongest, and that's one where he's really solid. He defeated Innovation in this GSTL season. That's the only loss that Innovation has, is because of Panic, and he also won against Hart, Ryung, and Gumio.
So there's no reason to panic if you're Panic.
Yep.
Gotta stay calm.
He can do it. He can definitely do it. There was like this breakout performance that he had when he was going up in the elimination system against Axiom-Acer and performed really well, taking down Ryung, Hart, and Innovation. So that was something where Axiom-Acer was just looking at it, was like, oh my god, what's happening here? I mean, this guy, that's one of the players that we didn't even think would give us so much trouble, and now he's taking out half of our team.
Yeah. Ryung looking confident as usual, although in the past few matches he's played, he's not been so successful, so see if he can turn things around today. He's up against one of his, I mean, like you said, he's doing better in the matchup. This is his matchup, but one of his weaker opponents that he's faced as of late, so maybe for him that gives him a little bit of confidence.
Well, if I was him, I would be quite eager to win this game, because the first player that Panic took out in the elimination system back then was Ryung. He already lost to Panic, so Panic is probably quite confident in his abilities to take down the Terran player. And if I'm Ryung, I'm really, really out for blood right now. I want to win this game. I want to redeem myself for losing the last time, and also shutting down the player that gave my team so much trouble in the first round of the GSTL Season 2.
Yeah, you can tell Ryung's looking the more serious here, just if you look at facial expressions alone. He's definitely taking this match extremely seriously, despite the fact that for him the individual ranking is probably pretty much over, and also his team is already in the finals. This is actually just about him right now, the way he's looking at this. Like, this match is about me defeating Panic and getting my revenge and tying up the score, or settling the score. The map is Yunsu. It's another one of our head-to-head maps where anything can happen.
And it's also one of those games that is quite pivotal for the match today, because if Ryung is able to take it, then there is a 3-1. Hack versus Curious is the next game. Hart versus Curious is the next game. And, you know, that's a pretty tough one to call, I feel.
Yeah. Well, it really is. That one could go really either way. Hart is looking a little bit more in shape these days, and Curious not as strong as the old Gatekeeper that we saw back in the up and down matches.
True.
So that one is actually really tough to call. And it's really important for StarTale, of course, to clinch this one, tie things up.
Yeah, the game here now in general, I mean, this is definitely an important match to play for both teams. And Panic versus Ryung is a great, great series if you watched the first round of the GSTL Season 2 this year already. So we're going into the game right away, and we'll see if Ryung can get the revenge kill here. The GSTL, StarTale versus Axiom-Acer. To the bottom left of the map, we have the Protoss player for Team StarTale. It is
StarTale, Panic.
Former Zenex.
Panic has actually played against Ryung twice already. Once in the Season 1, where he lost, and then in Season 2 he won the game against Ryung. And starting to the top right, we have set Terran player for Team Axiom-Acer. It is
Axiom-Acer.
So if you look at this match, there's actually a little bit story behind it. It's not only because they played each other twice already. When Panic came out as the first player for StarTale in the first round of the GSTL this season, it was one of those players where they say, like, yeah, he's a pretty good player as a starting player. He can prepare quite well. He's a player that has the skills but not the experience just yet. And he's just a solid first choice, or could also be a good second choice. But then suddenly he was able to win against Ryung, and everyone said, like, yeah, nice.
And then suddenly the Zealot has to run away. He's under attack.
Exactly. And then suddenly the Zealot jumps into the picture.
But anyways, continuing your story.
So suddenly he took down Ryung, and you know, everyone was like, awesome, he prepared well. This is the game that he could really prepare for, since it was already known who would face each other. There wasn't the elimination system back then, mind you. And Hart was sent out. And suddenly Panic wins against Hart. And 2 Terran players in a row. So Axiom-Acer is looking at this and they're like, well, what are we going to do now? We would like to send someone else, or we don't have a Zerg player right now. That was before Impact joined the team. Are we really going to Protoss versus Protoss him? weren't pretty sure if they want to do that, so they were like, okay, we're going to send Innovation out. We're going to put a stop to this kid because this is getting out of hand. And Innovation suddenly fell at the hands of Panic, and everyone was like, what the hell is going on? This guy is completely killing us here. So that was a bit embarrassing for Axiom-Acer back then, being taken out by a player that nobody really thought would be able to win this many games. So this is all about revenge as well. Yeah. And Ryung is a good player in the matchup. He's definitely someone who, with a 52% win ratio, has taken down very strong opponents. But right now, we'll see if Panic is able to win this game or if Ryung is getting that revenge.
Ryung messes up big time at the natural, by the way. No, actually, my mistake. I thought that was a Zealot coming down to kill the SCV, but in fact, did he cancel the Zealot? I believe he did. So everything I say is incorrect here, because as it is, Ryung actually blocks a Nexus successfully for a long period of time, and gets a little advantage from that. He was doing your bread and butter, 100 gas, then pull out, 1 Reaper, 1 Reactor, the 2 Rs. I guess that's what I'm going to call this build from now, the 2 Rs. 1 Reaper, 1 Reactor, then you get your command center. So he's going to have a ton of power up for Marines. He's getting a second barracks right now as well. He scouts all 3 pylons. It's exactly what he wants to do. There's no proxies, and he's delayed the Nexus. So very successful opening here for Ryung. Very safe. And it's what you want to do in a best of 1, especially against somebody like Panic, who could be aggressive.
Yeah. For a second, we had at the overlay the best of 3 notifications like popping up, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. No best of 3.
I feel the APM is a little bit off center. Production.
You know, I think you're right. Is that because? I think it's because of the in-game overlay, and that can't be changed. And then if you move, you can't move the top because then it covers the score to the. You can't move to the right because it covers the scores.
No, they have to move the APM.
Yeah, they have to move that on the in-game overlay. That's going to take some hardcore engineers getting on that.
Not really.
That bird, yeah. Man, get out of here, bird.
Look how the bird fly. Oh, now he flaps his wings again. I was like, this is a very weird flight pattern.
You know, the bird's using the thermal vents to actually fly. You know, birds use heat currents actually to glide with their feathers. That Reaper gets away, doesn't get a whole lot of information, but he knows the Nexus is real. No fake there.
I mean, right now we have Stim coming up, we have the Reaper with the scouting information. That's something that Ryung gets over Panic. Panic is, of course, getting the Observer into the game right now for that very reason. He wants to know what's happening here. And on a map like Yongsu, it's a pretty small map, you know, you can be very positional here. We have the Xel'Naga watchtowers, and we saw a lot of battles actually occurring to get the control of the Xel'Naga watchtowers in past matchups here in Protoss vs. Terran. Ryung wants to be present on the map a little bit, and he's a player who, with the Medivacs, can actually do a lot of damage. His drop micro is quite intense, but we have both of them just playing a very safe game. I mean, we were talking a bit about the best of 1, you were mentioning it already before. You want to be safe in a matchup like this, and that's exactly what both of these players do. In regards to tech for Ryung, we don't really have a commitment to any kind of area of effect just yet. Sorry for Panic. We do not see the Robotic Spay. We haven't seen a Templar Archive yet, or even a Twilight Council.
Just the Forge.
Just starting with the Forge now. And the Observer's actually sniped here. He has a second one done and wants to use the Warp Prism here, while adding now finally the Robotic Spay. But a snipe on the Observer, really nice for Ryung. That's pretty important for him. There are 2 others on the map though.
Yeah. Observers give you all sorts of vision, map awareness, the same way that a Creep Tumor can. It also gives you information about your opponent's army size, composition, how many Mars he has, how many Marines, how many barracks he's making, has he made a 3rd command center. And beyond all of those things, if you lose your Observer, you lose build time on your body. So your body's constantly building something, whether it's more Observers, an Immortal, or more commonly Colossus. In this case, even a Warp Prism. Is he going to go for, just 1 Zealot in the Warp Prism?
And here we have this poke with the Marines. The Photon Overcharge should be able to shut that out. And even the sentries here could easily cut off half of the Marines. So Ryung is very careful how he uses those units at this point. And the Warp Prism is, of course, becoming an issue, since so far, Ryung doesn't really know that it even exists.
Yeah. And he only listed 1 Zealot into the Warp Prism so that he would have most of his Zealots at home to defend in case he needed to. And now, of course, sending it across the map as the attack is deflected. Colossus on the way, and then Twilight Council, so he's going down that tech pattern. And with this, he can easily take a 3rd base. It's going to be much more comfortable than with the charged Zealots and relying on Storm. Goodbye, Reaper. Did his job tenfold.
Yeah, goodbye Reaper. I mean, he saw basically what he wanted to see there. The Twilight Council now also on the way, so they can get access to a +2 armor upgrade. But this Warp Prison, still doesn't really know how much he wants to commit. He's trying to dodge that factory for now.
Yeah, every Terran player does something different with their factories. Ryung's style, generally speaking, is to not send it to the third base to see that sort of timing or compositions, but to just keep it for spotting of Warp Prisms. Becoming a more popular trend these days. Forces a stim with the Zealot drop, and he actually may be able to save some of the Zealots. He's going to actually commit. I think this might be a mistake. Yeah, he cancels the Warp End, picks up 2, and gets out, and he still could lose it with another stim. Yeah, he knows it, and he tries to drop the Zealots to save it. He will not save it.
Well done by Ryung here. Really good moves against Panic. So not only losing the Zealots, but then also losing the Warp Prism itself. And now the counter drop is on its way. The units immediately pulled back into the main base since Panic already realized what was going on here. But he might even... Nah, he's not going to lose too much here.
Yeah, in fact, he loses nothing. But a great pickup by Ryung. Turned a not-so-good drop into at least he saved all of his units and loses nothing.
I mean, Templar has the lead in overall supply and also especially in army supply.
Yeah, that's true. And Temple Archives here is actually coming up very quickly to allow him to further go into that tick switch, while Ryung right now is making Vikings because he expects a heavier commitment to Colossi. The one thing that's missing, though, is that third Nexus, and he doesn't feel comfortable taking it until these rocks are gone. With all the pressure Ryung is putting on him, it's pretty hard to try to focus down rocks.
Oh, the Mothership Core is immediately being targeted, and then he lifts and moves away. Nice move here by Ryung. It costs him, of course, a lot of energy. He needs to rebuild the Mothership Core, then he needs to get the energy so that he can use Recall and Time Warp. Good move here.
Third base being moved over for Ryung has not been spotted yet by this Phoenix. And with no third base, he might actually expect a huge timing is coming forward.
The second Phoenix saw the
Oh, okay, that's good. Because I was going to say that would be actually pretty scary for him.
Yeah, he has the second one out there and he saw the expansion. But now we have, once again, the robotics time just chewed up by another Warp Prism that is being built. Losing the first one earlier was definitely an issue. Storm, on the other hand, halfway done, and that will help him. The problem is that this move here comes in before Storm is completed. Good force fields here, on the other hand, shoving and fuel the units. But the final force field to the left side is missing, so most of the bio units are able to retreat, and the Colossus is gone.
This is true. The Immortals, though, should be enough to push this back. If he can get the rest of the reinforcing units down, there's no drop to worry about here, no concern on that front.
He moves into the choke point, and he's losing a lot of the Zealots already. Are the bio units enough to really force the Protoss back and snipe that third?
It looks like he's going to force the cancel. Yeah. He does get the cancel, and this is actually tragic for Panic right now. He's got no ground to work on anymore. His opponent has a third base. He does not have, any Colossi left. He's got 3 Templar with Storm, but they're only useful defensively here right now. And Ryung actually force splitting on the other hand against that Storm.
But he snipes the Mothership Core once again. That Mothership Core in the game just not having a good time there. 2 are already down. And at the same time, Ryung just mining from 3 bases. That Warp Prism tries to put an end to that and at least harass the mineral line of the third base a little bit. But it looks like Ryung is going to be ready for this.
Yeah, this will be slightly disruptive. They've actually got a tight wall here. So he's going to have to fly in. He cannot walk in without killing those depots.
And the army is back, so he will be there in just a few seconds. And that should... Oh, nice. They are here with the Storm. I thought they had only Zealots in there, but it was actually a High Templar. So that was a good move. But he didn't kill too much.
Yeah, just a few Harvesters only, and the Vikings actually split here. They're not very useful anymore with no Colossi, but they're still useful.
The chase is on!
He's not going to get it. Well, if he doesn't keep his flight path straight, he will, and actually I think he gets it, yeah.
Gets it, and the High Templars are now done as well, so... Yeah, Ryung pulling out all the good moves here, and Panic is in a lot of trouble.
Look at the worker count. It's ahead for Ryung at 65 to 61, and just moments before it was even a bigger deficit. And that's never ideal as a Protoss player to have a Terran ahead of you in Harvesters, because the mules alone add so much income. Look at the income difference now. This is without mules at 2,000 to 1,500, and when he drops the mules, there's going to be so much more.
Panic has a big problem, and it's called Ryung. A 4th base for the Terran player is being built. He has the Ghosts now nearly completed. The Ghost Academy is already done. And he has just all the cards in his hand.
He's even going to try to snipe a Templar. He gets one.
He could have maybe gotten the second one, but even every Templar counts now. With such a late third base for the Protoss player, every single High Templar is a big like every loss is a big problem for you.
So true.
Here comes the drop in the main base as well, and he's posturing around at the third base, drawing all of the units of the Protoss player to the right.
This is actually really nicely done by Ryung. He's doing a bit of pincer tactics here, just playing tennis with Panic, and Panic is struggling. He's going to lose his robotics, which is going to be very useful for a transition to Colossi later. Warp was implied, that looks cute, but that's about all he's going to do. And he could even actually further try to kill a Nexus or unpower some structures. I don't think he's going to get anything here.
He's going to get that neck. He might, actually.
You know what?
Looking at it, he's going to get it.
He's going to get it. And he gets it, gets away with about 2/3 of his units even. Not paying attention over here, though, could cost him. And here as well, really good storms, and that's really nice small victories here for Panic, but he lost a Nexus, so not going to make up for it.
Burst damage. Do you even stim? And yes, he does. It's just crazy how much damage you can do in just such a short amount of time. If you have Marauders in the drop, the DPS output is so insane against buildings, and that's exactly what he showed here. Ryung in a dominant position in the game.
And his ghost count is getting up there with no robotics to make Colossi. Well, actually, he did save the robotics, right? Or did he kill it?
No, the robotics is down.
That's what I thought. Yeah, so he's I mean, he's going to be dealing with these ghosts. And speaking of which, a great EMP hits most of the Zealots. Running them shieldless. The Vikings paperweights here.
The snipe against the Templar. There's only one left. He's trying to move in right now. He might get a storm off, but that's not going to be enough. He's trying. He's just eating it. He doesn't even care anymore.
Yeah, he doesn't even split. But you know the Immortals will push through this.
Well, the Immortals are going to do the damage, that's definitely right. He's going to lose a lot of the Marauders, but he has the drop at the bottom left once again in action, and that drop is doing so much damage while Panic is trying to push Ryung back.
Yeah, this drop really just stops all sort of continued warp-ins to push this forward. He loses momentum with this, and this gives Ryung, of course, just time to remax.
He loses production, he loses tech, he loses like even a few of the harvesters that are long-distance mining at this point. And the only thing that Panic can do is just move in. He's trying to end that game here, but I don't think he can. He has 52 army supply, and it's a nice composition, but the numbers are in favor of Ryung, and he's showing it.
And he's getting some good EMPs again. This composition is much better for Panic, but it's just going to become eventually a numbers game with that defender's advantage, with that production, and all the production of Panic is being destroyed right now as all the pylons fall.
He's going for the pylons, he's underpowering everything, and we have also the better upgrades, and there's the GG. Ryung with a 3-1 for Axiom-Acer. Panic this time not able to take down the Terran player, and yeah, StarTale is on the ropes now.
Ryung settles the score from his previous loss, gets the high fives, and unfortunately for me,
no ceremony.
Exactly. That's, you read my mind on that one. That's the I put my head down like I'm tired ceremony. Not the best one. Not going to be in the top 5.
Yeah. No, that's, yeah, I would have loved the ceremony there, but I mean, at this point, the team maybe not about to celebrate just yet. They want to have that last win. And Hart could be the one to deliver it. Hart is going up against Curious next.
Ryung just looking really, really solid. And, I mean, that whole game, he controlled it. He set the pace. He scouted early. He had all the information that he needed to have, and he ran with it. Took a fast third base, defended himself against the drops, pressured, and that, I mean, it was a pretty straightforward game. There was never a point in that game where Ryung looked vulnerable.
No, it was just really solid. I mean, that was a very solid performance from Ryung, and straightforward win for him.
Yeah, I mean, he just had the lead from the beginning, made no mistakes. And that's how you win games, straight up.
Bomber, where are you? That's the question that every StarTale fan probably has in his mind right now. We all know where he is, but he's not with his team today, and that is an issue. Now it's up to Curious to keep StarTale in the run.
Yeah, it really is. And Curious is a player who's done well in the past, but he's not looking as solid as previous days. And Hart took a win yesterday. What was the matchup for that one? I feel like he beat Azurg, was it not?
You're putting me on the spot right
I'm
now.
sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, but I think he defeated Azurg yesterday, if I'm not mistaken. He's playing against another one here.
Who did he face yesterday? I'm drawing a blank here as well.
Yeah, anyways, who did he face? This is like the most awkward thing I've ever created.
Sanai.
Yeah, Sanai, that's right.
Was it hard for Sanai? Yeah.
Yeah, it was. It was, yeah. Because the only other Zerg he could have faced was Haiba, which was his EVZ. And anyways, Sanai and Curious are on the opposite sides of the spectrum of skill, to be quite frank.
Pretty harsh, but kind of, yeah, it's true.
Listen,
true.
if Curious is violet, then Sanai is red now. Roy G. Biv.
Whoa! Shots fired!
Roy G. Biv.
Shots fired right there.
I'm just laying out the truth. Sanai is now 0-9 in the GSTL. You just saw the stats of GSTL only for Curious. That's not mentioning all of the accomplishments he's had in Wings of Liberty, as well as his skills in Heart of the Swarm so far.
Yeah, Curious in this matchup is pretty solid though, and Hart, even though he won against Sanai, not the most impressive win ratio against Zerg, so this is definitely the one where StarTale is hoping that they can at least win this one, and then maybe in game number 6 get a draw and bring it to the Ace game.
Oh, that panic face. Scratching his head, nothing to say. It's all up to Curious now, the gatekeeper.
You know, the last game is also going to be a Protoss versus Protoss with, once again, Alicia. The last time we saw Alicia in a Protoss versus Protoss was a strap, and that game didn't take long.
No, it did not. Alicia clearly not feeling good about the matchup right now based on the style you saw from him. Rowan is the map. And you play against Innovation on this map like we saw yesterday, you have the hardest time. You're climbing Mount Everest, but for Curious here, with his style against Hart's style, I think he might be okay with Roland. I mean, he picked it as his map he wanted to come out on. But on the same note, Hart might be thinking, alright, I'm going to probably play against a Zerg. I want to play against a Zerg. I played against already Sanai, and I'm going to do the same matchup here.
You know, that's it. If you send someone out on Whirlwind with the maps, we see a lot of, I mean, with the positioning that we have, with the Zergs that are on the lineup for StarTale, you would expect that there is a Zerg player. You have Furious, you have Fett, you have Life. So that is the matchup that Hart was probably expecting to play, and that just tells me that he is prepared for this matchup. So we're going into the game right now. Curious, he has the hopes of StarTale in his hands. He needs to win it now, or StarTale lost the match already. Here we go. Hart versus Curious, the Terran versus Zerg.